to Knighton, the throw to the plate, the tag on McCracken, and they get her at home. The Tigers strand the tying run 60 feet away.
I don't expect my team to just roll over and just give them the second game. That's not what we're about.
We knew coming in that this wasn't going to be easy.
Our goal wasn't to come into the championship and be second. So we're going out full throttle.
I'm just so excited to get back onto the field with my sisters, and we're gonna fight.
I don't want any of us leaving the field thinking, what could I have done better? I want us to leave it all out there, and if we did that and they beat us, tip our hat to them.
It feels really, really good to be able to put all of that hard work and have it come down to this.
For Game 2 of the Champ Series, and the Oklahoma Sooners can win a third national championship tonight. Auburn, to keep their dreams of a first title alive, have to win tonight to force Game 3 tomorrow. Let's go back to last night's Game 1. Sidney Romero in a scoreless game in the third, a 3-run home run, and the Sooners would make it stand up. Tremendous defense with the tying run at third in the 7th inning. Shane Knighton throwing to home. They bag the Tiger runner, and they hold on to win it 3-2 to set up the showdown here tonight. The Auburn Tigers are feeling some confidence. Even though they lost, they like their chances today. That's the message for the Auburn Tigers as they get set to take the field here in Game 2. And we welcome you to Oklahoma City. I'm Beth Mullins along with Michelle Smith, Jessica Mendoza. Well, as you heard, Corey Myers kind of tipped the top story for you. The Sooners come in winners of 31 in a row, but Michelle, their ace, Paige Parker, exhausted. So in order to take Game 2, they're going to have to rely on their number 2, Kelsey Stephens.
Well, I think Patty Gasso's hand was kind of forced. Paige Parker's tank is empty. She has thrown every pitch of the postseason, so Kelsey Stephens does get the start. She's completely opposite of Paige Parker as well. She's right-handed. She throws down in the zone. She's going to mix pitches, and she's going to need to. The big thing, she needs to stay confident, controlled. She's got the #1 defense working behind her, which is key, but she's also going to be going up against the #1 scoring offense in the nation.
Oh, and why are they #1? Because they have been consistent regardless of who is in the circle. All season long, that has not mattered. And you got to think about from their mindset, they got #2 in the circle, not #1. So they are going to showcase what Auburn has done well all season long. They are confident. They are fearless. And led by Jade Rhodes, who's got 7 RBIs in this World Series alone, they have the power. The #1 reason Auburn is in this championship is because of their offense. And I think they're going to continue to showcase it tonight.
Let's check out our Capital One starting lineup for the visitors tonight in Game 2, the Oklahoma Sooners. And it starts with the Pac-12 Player of the Year, Aaron Miller. Then 4 freshmen in a row. Righty Kaylee Clifton, right-hander Shane Knighton, another righty in Sidney Romero, and then the lefty DP, Fale Aviu. In the 6th spot is sophomore Nicole Penley. Katie Self, the senior left fielder. In the 8th spot, it's Leah Wodak, and batting 9th, shortstop Kelsey Arnold. They will be up against the right-handed sophomore Kaylee Carlson out of Garden Grove, California. 19-2 on the season. And in her first year at Auburn, pitching the biggest game of her life here tonight.
She controls her best pitch, which is her changeup. They call it the Devastator. Expect to see that a lot. She is going to keep the ball down in the zone, but what he mentioned, she needs to be nice and relaxed. She was not on this team last year when this team played in this World Series. She needs to keep those nerves under control.
She is 2-0 this week with wins over UCLA and Florida State. The transfer out of North Carolina told us earlier, this is exactly why I came here, to be a part of a big moment like this. And Auburn needs her to try and tie up the Champ Series. The first pitch to Aaron Miller is in for a strike, underway here at Hall of Fame Stadium. Miller is one of just 2 seniors, just 2 upperclassmen in the starting lineup for the Sooners, and they are their last link to their 2013 national championship team, trying to bookend their career, she and Katie Self, with another title. Carlson with the 0-2 pitch. Reaching for it, and Jordan with the error at short. And Miller is on with nobody out.
Well, this is just a simple hop that comes in, and Jordan's head pops up just a little bit. Those are the plays that have to be made, though, in a championship game.
Well, defensively for the Auburn Tigers, Victoria Draper has one of the best catches we've ever seen here at the Women's College World Series. Did it earlier in the week. Emily Carosone, terrific at turning double plays at second base. And already Whitney Jordan with the error at short. You know, one of the things strategically when you talk about Kelsey Stephens getting a start for Oklahoma, that's got to fire up your offense, knowing, hey, we got to be able to pick our game up too today to support our pitcher in this big moment.
This is going to be a game of the best offense. Sorry, Smitty. And I'm not negating Carlson or Kelsey Stephens, but both these teams know how to hit, and they're going to score a lot of runs. It's just who's going to outscore the other.
Absolutely agree with you, Jessica. And what is going to be key is the defense. And we've seen a leadoff error, but already Auburn making adjustments from last night. Corners crashing in a potential bunt situation.
Oklahoma is aggressive on the bases. Patty Gasso likes to go pedal to the metal and put the pressure on the D. They had the hit and run on, and Miller got a good jump. She'll slide in safely anyways, even though there wasn't contact at the plate.
And Aaron Miller, an explosive jump and a good pitch to go on, because Wallace had to kind of come low and back behind her. Miller, not the fastest runner on this team, but you're right, Beth. The jump was huge. She was already 3/4 of the way down the line by the time Wallace was able to release the ball.
10th stolen base of the year for Miller, and now Clifton has an RBI opportunity. 1-2 change, pops it up. Rhodes going back, makes the catch over her shoulder. One down. This will bring up Shea Knighton. Knighton followed by Romero have been lethal. The two freshmen tearing it up in the postseason. Knighton is batting .533 at the World Series with a couple of home runs. And one of those was a walk-off 3-run shot on their opening game to beat Alabama.
One of the toughest things is how do you throw her? You mentioned how hot she's been. She's hit every single pitch that's been thrown, meaning she's hit the screwball inside. She's hit the curveball away, the changeup low, and the rise ball high. They got to continue to mix because they know that she's capable of hitting anything.
1-0 change, misses high. Knighton has multiple hits in all 4 of the Sooners games here at the World Series. Out of Buena Park, California, and a second-team All-American. Being very careful with Shea, 3-0. So far at the Women's College World Series, look at the pop from Knighton and Romero. Couple of home runs each, 11 runs batted in. Walks her on 4 pitches. So that'll bring up Sidney Romero, who hit the 3-run home run in game 1. And let's check out our diamond duel with she and Kaylee Carlson.
Well, the key for Carlson is she needs to keep it low and keep it slow. So the drop ball and the changeup are keys.
And because of that changeup, Sidney Romero needs to think stay back. That was the home run that she hit, and then stay through. When she gets extended, that's when you see the power come.
Our diamond duel, who's going to win it? Carlson and Romero. Sidney, the freshman from San Diego, has talked about better pitch selection, helping her out here in the postseason. She's added the power. Michael and Melissa Romero, her parents, We're here to cheer on both Sidney and her sister Sierra, the National Player of the Year at Michigan. That's a fair ball. It will stay in the batter's box, and Romero is able to move the runners over.
I know this is a big part of Oklahoma's game, but I don't agree with it here. We showed the graphic of what the rest of this lineup has done, especially of you who's up right now. Sidney Romero is that hot bat, and you want her to swing the bat in this situation. If I'm Sidney Romero, I want to swing the bat in that situation.
Yeah, Gasso's going to work it the way she has done all season long. Now in her 10th Women's College World Series at Oklahoma with a couple of national championships. She's the Hall of Famer.
You have to wonder, Jess, if that was Romero's idea or if that was actually a called play. There's a, maybe trying to bunt for a single based on how defensively Auburn was playing last night.
She's right-handed.
You got to go away.
There's one out.
Yeah, I agree. You got to hit the ball into the gap.
Well, and the freshmen haven't made many mistakes this postseason. If that was her own call, then that was probably one right there. Carosone over to first, not in time, and the Sooners grab the early lead on the infield hit from another one of the rookies, Fale.
Fale doing everything she can to make sure with 2 outs that she gets the single on this. She hits it up the middle to Carosone, and look at her just stretch it out and then fall out. A little bit of dirt and chalk at the back end of that.
Laying it all on the line for a national championship for the freshman out of Oceanside, California. Well, you got a new pitcher in the circle tonight if you're Oklahoma, and it couldn't have started out any better. You put a run up, you're still threatening. As Kelsey Stephens looks on. Clint Myers is out to talk with Tracy Hart. She's at first. Mike Bartling is at third. Leah Bowen is behind the plate.
I think Clint Myers is trying to get some clarification and make sure a view hit the bag and not the foot. You see her hit the foot and the bag, which is what causes her to fall. Definitely gets the bag, though, which is the most important.
Couple on with 2 outs for Nicole Penley, the sophomore from Rio Rancho, New Mexico. Hit a solo home run in their win against Michigan on Saturday night. Due to the rainout on Thursday, the Sooners are playing for their 5th day in a row. They actually started their game on Thursday and it got rained out. Auburn has had a day off on Friday. So that also was a part of Patty Gasso's decision-making as to who would be the starting pitcher today. And the runner will go ahead and move over to second base. A view able to advance.
See, a view is just kind of jogging down the baseline. Once she sees it go back to Carlson, she takes off to second, making sure if the throw goes down, she tried to get in a rundown, give her teammate Knighton time to score if possible.
I'm surprised, though, with 2 outs, too, just that she wouldn't straight steal it, because she gets tagged out. Knighton doesn't score. Inning over.
It's a whole different style of play for Patty Gasso and the Sooners. They relied so much on their All-Americans who hit the home runs last year. And Gasso has talked about how rejuvenated she is with all these new players, a new assistant coach, which also happens to be her son, JT. And the off-speed 1 and 2. There is JT Gasso, who handles their hitters. Melissa Lombardi handles the pitchers. He has grown up around the game, literally celebrating national championships with his mom's teams in 2000 and 2013.
Patty got asked actually last night in the press conference, what does it mean when you see your team be able to hit the way they did come up clutch, because your son is their hitting coach. And you don't see this a lot from her, but she got emotional. And all she could say and muster out was pride.
1-2 pitch to Penley, waits on it out to center. Draper drifting over, and she's got it. Side retired, a couple of stranded in scoring position, but the first one is in, and it belongs to OU. And we welcome you back to Game 2 of the championship series. Oklahoma 1 win away from a championship. Auburn has to win tonight and tomorrow night to take home the trophy for the first time. Our Capital One starting lineup for the Tigers, the home team tonight. Tiffany Howard leads off in left, Casey Cooper at third, Emily Carosone, the second baseman, followed by Carly Wallace, the catcher. In the 5 spot, it's Jade Rhodes with a home run last night, followed by Haley Fagan, then Maddie Gibson, the right fielder, Whitney Jordan, the shortstop, and batting ninth, Victoria Draper out in center field. And they will be facing the surprise starter tonight, Kelsey Stephens, the right-handed senior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, who was their ace 2 years ago and got them here to the World Series. And now will start for the first time since May 14th. For more on her expectations, here's Missy Lombardi.
Kelsey Stephens, she needs to establish her curve and her screw, work her rise at the top of the zone, and change speeds with her drop and her change.
And Coach Lombardi talks about top of the zone, but I can promise there's no top of the zone against this explosive Tiger offense. It's going to be all down in the zone and off speed, and really that's about keeping the ball in the park, using that great defense behind Stephens.
That 2014 campaign was terrific, 38-9, but the last 2 years she has really struggled with her control. Last year a lot of home run balls, this year a lot of wild pitches and hit batters. And what an opportunity for her, just like Lexi Davis, the surprise starter last night for Auburn, who kept them in the game. Stephens, an opportunity for a big moment in her career. She will have to do it against one of the most dangerous lineups in the country, and it starts with Tiffany Howard.
We'll look for a lot of takes from this Auburn offense. This is a game plan they were going to have anyway coming into Game 2, whether it was Parker or Stephens. But that's exactly what I'm looking for, is the nerves of Kelsey Stephens. When you see her struggle at all, obviously 2 pitches, but it's those non-competitive misses. And for Auburn right now, they're probably going to wait till she throws a strike before they even think about swinging.
Howard is 4 for 16 here at the Women's College World Series. And then right behind her, she's got the top 2 home run hitters in school history. After that, Carly Wallace and Jade Rhodes. Most of their production has been coming from the top 6 in the lineup. Screwball misses outside, 3-1. Paige Parker looking on, the starter who got the win last night. That's short, Arnold, nice play to get the out. So quick to get that out of her glove, 1 down.
And what a difference between Whitney Jordan in the air in the first inning. This is a play in the 5-6 hole with the speed of Tiffany Howard that Arnold, she is so huge for this offense, especially in the infield. Katie Self, a senior, a captain out in left field. She'll be the leader from the grass.
Knighton, of course, had the huge play last night to save the tying run in the 7th. And Wodak behind the plate has perhaps the best arm in all of college softball behind the dish. Very hard to run on her. And there's a liner out to center, and Penley, the leap at the track to make the catch on the drive of Casey Cooper. 2 down.
This is the second time this World Series we've seen Penley not only get a great jump, but a jump to catch the ball. Her first couple steps, a beautiful read, and then her ability to get up and out. That's a double that she saved for her pitcher, Kelsey Stephens.
That's the key right there. Kelsey Stephens needs to use that NCAA leading defense, and she's done it. It's really what her focus should be. Going out there is just throwing strikes to her catcher and letting the defense record the outs. And that's really taken a page out of the playbook of Auburn, because their pitch to contact, that's exactly what Kelsey Stephens is. And yes, Jessica, tonight will be all about the hitters.
Well, that fielding percentage is the second best ever in a single season. They've backed up their pitching well. This is Emily Carosone. Emily's the senior out of Orlando, Florida. So instrumental in the Auburn turnaround in the last 3 years under the direction of Clint Myers. Her freshman year, they weren't even playing in the NCAA tournament. Myers shows up on the scene and says, ladies, we're going to the Women's College World Series. Last year, they were here, lost in the semis. This year, they're playing for the national championship. Clint Myers is looking for his third title. He picked up a pair of them from his days at Arizona State. He too is a Hall of Famer at his 9th World Series as a head coach. He also won national championships in the junior college ranks in both baseball and softball. They are going to take their time inside the batter's box and out this evening, trying to figure out what Stephens is all about. Here's the 3-1 pitch. Full count.
That's part of Auburn's game plan. They're just patient on both sides of the plate. All aspects of the game. They don't care if the game goes 4 hours. They're just, you know, they're here to win that game.
Hit well, and back goes Aaron Miller. Couple of well-struck balls, but they stay in the yard, and the Sooners, through one, are up 1-0 Oklahoma lead. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, when you consider that Oklahoma lost 3 of the best players in school history last year, Lauren Chamberlain and Shelby Penley, who are 2 of the top home run hitters in the nation in softball history, how could she revamp this team so quickly? Well, she has had an unbelievable freshman and sophomore class. The underclassmen in the postseason have been incredible, accounting for 100% of the team's home runs. They have been fearless at the plate, leading their team in percentages for just about everything: runs, hits. Look at this, 75%, 80% of some of that offensive productivity. They are fearless, they are young, but Patty Gasso sums it up best. Years ago, she made up a word, clutchness. I think that describes these underclassmen perfectly.
All 10 of their postseason home runs, Holly, 6 of them here in their 4 games so far at the World Series. And they have not felt the weight on their shoulders in the least. In fact, have stepped up and delivered big time.
And they're mature too. And getting the chance to talk to them all week. Katie Self, obviously one of the seniors, but even she talks about how impressed this freshman class, the sophomores, the way they talk about the game, the adjustments they want to make, the stuff that they were saying, Beth. I mean, I feel like you don't say until you're 25, 26 years old as an athlete.
The senior out of Edmond, Oakland, she's got the second best batting average on the team here at the Women's College World Series, 300 with a couple of runs batted in. Self gets a hold of one and sends that deep, and it is gone. 2-0 Oklahoma. Just her 4th home run of the season. She saw that graphic. Apparently, only freshmen and sophomores are hitting them out. She said, I'll fix that.
Take a look at the pitch. It's up in the zone. It's kind of leaking back. Take a look at the rotation. It's a screwball. Just doesn't get to where it needs to be, and Self just punishes it. Now, chalk one up for the seniors.
10-1.
Well, you talk about a selfless player, too. She was one of the players that moved positions mid-season when their starting catcher left the team for personal reasons. It moved Self, it moved the catcher, who's up to bat right now, Leah Wodak, and it moved the first baseman, Shea Knighton. And all they've done is gone on a 31-game winning streak. Gasso said, we found the lineup, it just clicked. And now Self with the production at the plate as well.
Well, the crazy part when Patty mentioned that is that Shea Knighton wasn't even an everyday starter. I mean, to see the way that she has just been clutching this postseason. I mean, it's great to be able to have that to bring off the bench, but it's really fabulous to have it in the starting lineup.
Holly reported on all the home run power they lost. They have rediscovered it in these youngsters in the second half of the season. And one of the things that the Tigers have relied upon all year long, other than their hitters, is it's a complete pitching staff. They've had 4 different pitchers already throw in their 4 games here. And another base hit for Wodak. And they've got Carosone in trouble early. Well, there's the men's basketball coach at Oklahoma, Lon Kruger, who got the Sooners to the Final Four this year. Checking out the action. Pinch runner is coming on for OU. And running for Leah Wodak will be Reagan Rogers. Wodak can re-enter. Kelsey Arnold in the 9 spot, and then around to the top of the order. Arnold is batting .388, the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year. Has a couple of hits, scored 3 times in the World Series. Thinking sacrifice.
She's got a big hole between short and third. Normally a shortstop would be pulled way over, but because of that fast base runner, Auburn's going to have to play a little bit more up the middle, which helps out Kelsey Arnold.
She's got options here. Drag bunt, slap. She'll try the slap. Jordan at short, goes to second.
And there it is.
And Carosone didn't even have a foot on the bag, but it wouldn't have beaten her anyways.
And that's exactly what having a base runner on helps, especially with the speed. This is Patty Gasso's game. She gets runners on, she gets them moving, and it's about placement. Arnold doing it perfectly there.
3 hits in the inning for the bottom 3 in the order for the Sooners. And now they've got 2 on for Erin Miller, who reached on an error, stole a base, and scored in the first inning. Jordan thought about going to third and then throws it into the dugout. Sooners are going to score 1 more as Rogers comes in to make it 3-0. That is the second error of the game for Jordan.
And watch the concern. When Whitney Jordan got that ball, she was thinking about going to third, and that's exactly why she ended up throwing it away.
We've seen the power, the home run from Self, and we've also now seen how damaging this speed can be for the Sooners on the bases.
And this is why. Watch Jordan get the ball, and look at her think about going to third now. She tries to throw to first, and her feet are not set to go to first. Her momentum and her body are thinking third. She throws to first, and that's where the error comes.
It's bad footwork, and we talk about this all the time, but it's fundamental of the game. It's ball, bag, backup, and so far those last 2 plays, their fielders have been late to the bag, so there was no one to throw to. She looked up and she did not see Cooper back at third, and then adjusted to go back to first. But it's interesting because this is a completely different defensive makeup. Yesterday they kept the first baseman Jade Rhodes back, and they crashed the bunt a way different way. Now they're doing everything different. But Clint Myers,
he's reading them the riot act right now. They were coming in brimming with confidence about what they were going to do offensively.
Yep.
And things have come apart defensively a little bit for him here to start it out. Kelsey Stephens watching and waiting to get back out there. Now the lead has blossomed to 3-0.
Well, and Auburn knows that they're going to have to score multiple runs, and Oklahoma is aware that 3 is probably not going to be enough. So they have runners at second, third, nobody out. This should not be the end of their offensive run for this inning.
2 in scoring position and nobody out for Kaylee Clifton. They talk about smothering opponents. Everybody in the lineup hits better than 300. Out in the bullpen now, Rachel Walters, the senior lefty, getting loose. Dropping down the bunt and coming in to score is Arnold. The squeeze works for the Sooners.
and that is a squeeze on a changeup. The Devastator is thrown, and look at immediately bunted. The ball is going to go off of the bat, but the bat is part of play. Wallace tries to dive back, so take a look. The ball goes down, and it's going to jump over the bat, hit the bat, but the bat is in play as long as the ball hits the bat. And you can see that Oklahoma is pumped. Another run up on the board.
And there's still nobody out. 3 runs in the inning, and here come the big boppers, Knighton and Romero. Shea walked on 4 pitches in the first. This time she sees a strike, 0-1. Coach's kid with a big sister that she used to follow around and play with. She's going to lay down the bunt, and another run comes in as Miller scores.
Back-to-back squeeze bunts. Patty Gasso. I mean, you talk about putting the pedal to the metal, not letting up. I mean, the guts. After laying down a squeeze bunt, she comes right back with who else but their RBI hitter. Look at how back the defense is. It's all Carosone because Cooper's playing back. They were not prepared for that bunt.
And now Sidney Romero is due up. She bunted back in the first inning.
And Jets, this is what you're talking about. Take a look at the corners. The corners are playing deep. They're not even pulled in at all. And when the bunt does go down, they both retreat to the bag. This is a situation where the corners need to come in and help the pitcher out.
Like Patty Gasso. Wow. I'm impressed.
How about that?
Yeah.
Back-to-back squeezes to score a couple more. It's a 4-run inning. And now they have the Tigers really on their heels. Let's see if she's got Sidney swinging away. We can at least take the squeeze off the table. Nobody presently at third. Hopper back up the middle. Gasso waving the runner in. Clifton to the plate. 6-0 Oklahoma.
Sidney Romero, she might have the home run swing, but this is a short enough runners in scoring position. I just want to get myself an RBI.
The reaction from Michael and Melissa. back at the World Series for the 3rd time. The first 2 with Sierra Romero. This year, both of them were here. And now Sidney helping the Sooners inch closer to a national championship. It's 0 Oklahoma. 10 of the 13 that have come to the plate so far have reached base for the Sooners. They have scored on a home run ball. They have scored on a pair of back-to-back suicide squeeze bunts. And it's a pitching change to Rachel Walters, her 6th appearance of this NCAA tournament.
Well, Carson, the lefty, Walters, the lefty, is going to need to follow up where Carson couldn't lead her team and work that curveball away from lefties and into righties. I think the big thing is she can't allow Oklahoma to keep getting extended. Try to jam them up and do some pop-ups, some weak grounders.
7 in a row now have reached. What an inning here. 5 runs in the 2nd. More short game, and it's foul. Aviu drove in a run with a single in the 1st. That got things started for the Sooners. And here in the 2nd, Self with a home run. Bottom of the order got on, came in to score. Crowd applauding a terrific catch in the crowd. Aviu down 0-2. Knighton and Romero on base.
And I know this has been Patty's game, you know, short game, utilizing the squeeze, but I wonder if Paige Parker had been in the circle tonight, would she be so aggressive? She knows she needs to get runs for Kelsey Stephens. And I think she's extra aggressive this game because of it.
So I think the next big coaching decision that Coach Gasso has is, how long do I leave my number 2 in, and when do I go to Parker? Because she said Parker is available. She would like to make sure she's in a situation where she knows she has the game in hand. Will be interesting call for her.
Reaching out for it, Cooper has it at 3rd, throws over to 1st. And gets the double play after tagging the bag. Romero will be at 2nd. Nicole Penley is the 9th to the plate in this inning. You want to talk about some moxie, too. Shay Knighton laying down a squeeze bunt. It's her first sacrifice of the season. And that one she asked of Romero in the 1st inning was also her first of the season.
I'm sure Auburn knew that. I mean, they were playing it that way, and that's when you catch people off guard. Something that obviously Oklahoma has practiced, though.
It's like they say, if you want to win championships, expect the unexpected. A lot of unexpected here.
Auburn tried to upset the apple cart last night, starting Lexi Davis. They took a chance, and so Gasso turning the tables on them tonight. Remember, there was no run rule, by the way, in the Champ Series, so Auburn still has the full 7 innings to work with to try and get the runs back. You got to wonder, though, what's going on right now in their minds. I mean, so full of confidence, chomping at the bit to get out and hit. And now finding themselves down quickly by 6. They will have to rely on something that Coach Myers tells them often. Don't think you can do it. Know you can do it. And start mounting the comeback when they pick up the bats in the bottom of the second. Biggest deficit, by the way, they've overcome this year, 7 runs against Indiana in March. Henry fouls another one off.
Well, the tone of the game was set early with the leadoff batter, Aaron Miller, getting on, error at shortstop. It's important for teams to figure out a way to kind of clear out the head and reset and start from anew. And that's what Auburn's going to need to do in the bottom of the second.
Wow, 9 pitches, 9 at the exact same pitch. Curveball, 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 all away. Penley just working that pitch, fouling it off, trying to waste it, get something more over the plate, see if Walters comes right back with it for the 10th pitch of the at-bat.
Trying to pick up Romero out at second base. And Penley. Base hit, and she will get Romero in. What an at-bat for Nicole Penley. Fighting and fighting and fighting. And it's 7-0.
This is the sign of a good hitter. You get 10 pitches in the same spot. Look at that, 1 through 9, and then that 10th one right on that outside corner. Penley just does a nice job of getting her barrel to ball, finding the gap to get the run in, get a 7th run for this Oklahoma Sooner team.
Well, Toby Keith in the house. Local product, Moore, Oklahoma. It's between here and the Norman campus down to the south, about 20 minutes or so. Katie Self actually started out this second inning with a home run ball. Runner goes, the throw down from Wallace, and this time they get her. Tag applied by Carosone. You talk about trying to smother an opponent in a lot of different ways. How about a home run ball from the senior? And then the youngsters start laying them down. A couple of squeeze bunts back to back. It's 7-0 OU. And the Oklahoma Sooners putting a 6th spot up on the board in the second inning to take the lead over the Auburn Tigers as we go to the bottom half of the inning. And how will Auburn respond after the offensive onslaught from the Sooners and the Riverboat Gambler, Patty Gasso? Well, some of the other Auburn coaches are in the house tonight. Gus Malzahn, the football coach. Bruce Pearl, their men's basketball coach.
Well, now the question is, Kelsey Arnold, how long was she sitting in the dugout? It's important for pitchers to stay warm. And she promptly comes out and hits the first batter. That is not what you want to see for pitchers. It's so important to stay warm when your offense is putting up big crooked numbers for you.
Well, now Stevens with a runner on base will face Jade Rhodes, who hit the 2-run home run in the 7th inning last night. 2 homers, 7 runs batted in so far at the World Series. let's check out our diamond duel right here.
Now Stephens is going to need to use that drop inside and interrupt the timing on Rhodes.
Oh, Jade Rose, she'll see that inside. She's going to lay off of it because she likes to get extended. She likes to look for something out over the plate, and that's when she mashes.
Rhodes has hit home runs in her last 2 games here for Auburn. All-American out of Sarasota, Florida. One of the seniors trying to extend their careers. They need to win today to play again tomorrow in a winner-take-all game 3. How about her home run swing last night?
This is what it looks like when Jade Rhodes gets extended. She gets something out over the plate, and she has the power. She hit that over center field fence, a huge home run. Looked like it was going to be a game changer, but Oklahoma kept them off the board. Tight finish.
Coming low and in on Rhodes, 1 and 2.
Well, that's the pitch she needs to continue to execute. That drop ball where she just peels that off of her fingertips, just let it fall off the table. And it's exactly what you said, Jessica, about Rhodes. She loves to extend the hands, and if you can jam her up, it makes her job a lot easier.
Myers arguing balls and strikes right now. The Auburn dugout, I think, has received a warning. And the 1-2 pitch, the drop ball for the strikeout from Stephens.
And Stephens throws her drop ball slightly off speed. She'll throw her harder stuff mid-60s. That drop ball come in right at around 60 miles an hour. It's like an off-speed drop, and you can see it just dive off the table, and she gets Rose. Look at the over-the-top rotation of that ball, and it's just going to fall off the table.
Haley Fagan, the DP. Haley is 4 for 12 so far in the World Series for an Auburn team that led the nation in 8 runs per game. Their scoring numbers this year. Of course, if they can match that and hold Oklahoma, they're back in business, but that's asking a lot this early in the game. Are taking the risk with Stephens here in the circle. It's something she did in 2013 with their ace Kaylani Ricketts, also exhausted in getting the team to the championship series. She threw Michelle Gascoigne, who won game 2 and won the championship.
There's that drop ball again, that off speed. Stephens kind of slows down her arm sometimes at the end of it, almost telegraphs it. Throwing 3 different speeds right now.
.63 miles an hour from Stephens. Full count. Keeps it low in the zone. A off-speed drop. Second strikeout in a row.
Kelsey Stephens actually shook off whatever pitch she got from the dugout because she wanted this one. Her off-speed drop, 2 strikeouts in a row on the same pitch. Parker, biggest fan.
Maddie Gibson, the number 7 batter in the order. Bottom of this lineup was 0 for 6 in game 1. So the Tigers looking for a bit of a spark down at the bottom of the lineup. Wild pitch. Wallace will move over to second.
A lot of times we like to see the strike to ball ratio at about 2/3 strikes, 1/3 balls, and you see the balls over the strikes. So part of Auburn's game plan is to be more selective.
Yep.
And so far, Stephens has been effectively wild. You know, that wildness, Auburn swinging through it.
Well, because when you're down 7 runs, you need base runners.
Yep.
Hit by pitches, walks, whatever it takes. It's a big lead. You're not going to win it with one swing.
And you're not going to win it with your bat on your shoulder.
Walter. Well, if necessary, we'll have a winner-take-all Game 3 tomorrow night on ESPN for you at 7 Eastern. The game also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. We'll be back here tomorrow night if the Auburn Tigers can mount the comeback. It would be the biggest deficit they have overcome this season. Still got time to do it, and it looks like they're going to be patient here and see what Kelsey Stephens has in the arsenal. Whitney Jordan is coming up. These are the batters that have not hit it well during the World Series. In fact, Gibson, Jordan, and Draper are hitting just 109. So now you've given one of them a free ride.
And I'm sure that's the message right now that Missy Lombardi is telling Kelsey Stephens. Hey, this is the bottom of the order. Whitney Jordan, .083 in the World Series, 100 right after her. This is who you want to attack. Do not let the top of this order get up.
How about 1 through 6 in the series? 304, and then 7 through 9 struggling.
Well, there's one thing I used to tell myself when I was starting to get in a pinch or lose my control a little bit, is that your defense, they can't defend a walk. And this is the #1 defense in the country. So there's times you just have to try to figure out a way to find the glove, find your catcher, let the folks behind you record those outs.
Here's the 1-1. Just below the knees, 2-1. What a story this would be if, after being their ace 2 years ago, losing the starting job last year, not getting a lot of innings this season, and now stepping in Game 2. Jordan sends that one deep. Back it goes, and it is gone. Whitney Jordan, her 7th home run of the season, and the Tigers have some life.
The game has a funny way of circling back around. Whitney Jordan with the 2 errors this far. This game had helped Oklahoma with the lead, and she helps them back. Helps her Auburn Tigers back by swinging the bat and getting 3 more on the board for Auburn.
The 2 runs that scored in front of her got on with free passes, and look at the excitement from Jordan as she crosses home plate. Now the Draper laying down the bunt, and she is safe at first. Turns it over to the top of the order. Back home in Auburn at their viewing party at Jane B. Moore Field, reacts to the home run ball. And the other Auburn coaches, all of a sudden that Tiger rooting section on its feet. It's 7-3. The 3-run home run from Whitney Jordan. 12 of the last 13 runs the Tigers have scored have been from home run balls. Score Draper, by the way, E4 down at first base. About a play by Howard, senior out of Pembroke, Georgia. Set a new single season hits record at Auburn. She led the team in hits and runs, stolen bases this year. Takes a strike up in the zone, 1-2. Sends that one into the crowd. Chops that one foul.
Only 41 pitches in. Kelsey Stephens, you got to think how fast her heart rate is probably going right now. And she hasn't thrown a pitch since May 14th. And you can just tell. You can see the sweat. You can see that she is laboring. I mean, this is something that it's not that she's thrown so many pitches, it's the moment. It's the nerves. It's so many things that come into play when you haven't picked up a ball in a month.
Well, part of pitching is just being sharp, being able to hit locations.
Howard has self going back, and it's off her glove. And another run will score for Auburn. Howard loses her footing, but she's going to get safe to the bag at third. That ball just kept drifting back, and Self, I think she was totally confident she was going to catch up to it.
Well, Tiffany Howard is not always just a slapper. She can hit for power, and she's done a lot of that this year. She does cross over and slap this, but she punches it off of Katie Self's glove. Look at the way she's got a bead on it, but it's off the top of the glove because she was in so much. And then look at the way Tiffany Howard is going to come around. She's going to bump in.
It would have been
yep, so she's given the bag. She's protected going forward.
That ball's got to be caught, though.
I agree.
Yeah. And Beth hit it on the head. It wasn't so much at the end. It was off the glove. It was the fact that her jump, and she didn't get a good jump, and she didn't go full speed.
Just the 26th error of the season for Oklahoma. If they do give her an error out there, we don't have confirmation yet. But if they can get Howard in, it's a 2-run game. And Casey Cooper can make it a 1-run game in a hurry. 20 home runs on the season, a new school record. And they'll score it a triple for Howard. A 6-run top half of the inning for Oklahoma. 4 on the board in the bottom half for Auburn. And now Patty Gasso will trot on out to talk with Stephens. Auburn trying to make its move. And if they can mount the comeback and win this game, we will be here tomorrow night for a winner-take-all Game 3. It'll come your way Wednesday evening on ESPN at 7 Eastern tomorrow night. Or if necessary game to decide the national championship.
And that's a second visit to the mound, so Patty Gasso will have to make the change.
And it will be a freshman, Jaden Chestnut, coming on in relief. 7-4, Oklahoma with the lead on Auburn, but the Tigers have chased the starting pitcher, Kelsey Stephens. And freshman Jaden Chestnut out of Mustang, Oklahoma, will now come on. The Prep Oklahoma Player of the Year, 9-0 on the season. And for more on her, here's Missy Lombardi.
Jaden Chestnut, she needs to establish her curve and her screw, have the ability to throw a rise at the top of the zone, and work her change and her off speed.
She steps right in here. Game 2 of the Champ Series, and she's facing one of the 3 finalists for National Player of the Year. And a 2-1 count to Casey Cooper. Cooper is the 8th to the plate here for Auburn in the second. And there's a base hit to drive in a run. And then the overthrow goes all the way to the backstop. And it's the 2 senior outfielders for Oklahoma with miscues here to aid Auburn. And a 5-run second inning.
Auburn is a very opportunistic team, and if you open the door, they're going to blast it open on you. This ball crushed by Cooper, and you can see there's no reason that Aaron Miller even needs to be throwing toward first base.
Emily Carosone, their number 3 hitter, gets hit by the pitch. And she is awarded first base, 2 on with 2 outs. How about the reaction from basketball coach Bruce Pearl?
And Auburn is back in the game.
And a big credit to this Auburn team. I mean, imagine mentally what 7 runs in the top of the second could do to you. But this team came back, took advantage of opportunities, hit by pitch, a walk, but with 2 outs is where they have scored all of these runs.
Just 3 hits in the inning. A couple of free passes, a couple of defensive miscues, and now Wallace will come up for the second time. She started it all, getting hit by a pitch in the second. Came in to score on the Jordan 3-run home run.
She got hit on the very first pitch of the inning. You know, we talk about never what you want to do as a pitcher after your team puts runs up on the board. You want to just go right into that strike zone, stay away from the free passes. Oklahoma's defense, #1 in the country, but right now they've got a lot of balls flying out there.
How about an 11-run second inning? The teams have combined to put up on the scoreboard. There have been 19 appearances at the plate for both sides. After it looked like Stephens had things under control with back-to-back strikeouts of Rhodes and Fagan. And then the Tigers cranked it up. Bases are loaded, and here comes Jade Rhodes. Check in with Holly.
Pat Agasso told me before the game that they were going to go to Kelsey Stephens, and then they would bring in possibly 2 freshmen. You see Jaden Chestnut in now, Brittany Finney warming up in the bullpen. Paige Parker could come in late, but she hasn't been to the bullpen once, so that plan not really sticking with the Oklahoma Sooners right now because the freshmen and Stephens have struggled so far.
Well, now the bases are loaded for Jade Rhodes, who has home runs in her last couple of games. Struck out in the second inning on a drop ball from Kelsey Stephens. Good stop by Wodak on the off speed. Cooper with an RBI single. She's now at third. Carosone was hit by a pitch. She's at second. Wallace drew the walk. She's at first. Rhodes swings through the drop, 1-2. All 5 runs coming with 2 outs this inning. And the strikeout for Jaden Chestnut. Biggest of her career. The Tigers leave them loaded. But they do get 5 runs in, and they are right back in it. 7-5 Sooners. Whitney Jordan got it started with a 3-run home run.
Auburn is back in the game.
To the top of the third, game 2 of the Champ Series. It is 7-5. Oklahoma with the lead over Auburn, and what a wild second inning it was with all the stars out tonight in Oklahoma City. With Toby Keith, the coaching staff for Auburn, their head men's basketball coach, football coach Lon Kruger is here. And they have been treated to a lot of action that second inning. 11 runs. 20 batters came to the plate for both teams. There were 8 hits. 2 of them were home runs. 3-run shot from Whitney Jordan, a solo home run from Katie Self. And here is Katie to lead things off in the top of the third. Oklahoma wins tonight. They are national champs. If Auburn wins, we're back for game 3 tomorrow. The Sooners have won 31 games in a row, but their ace, Paige Parker, was exhausted. She needed a break after throwing 5 days in a row. And that has opened up the offensive floodgates for both sides. An aggressive Oklahoma Sooner team tonight that has also scored on 2 squeeze bunts. How about the swing for Katie Self?
Up and in. You saw her get her hands to the ball. Now that we have a different pitcher, I think the challenge is going to be to avoid that area. Rachel Walters, you can tell, trying to tack away. Self was all over it from Carlson. Man, what a second inning. I mean, I feel like they've played a whole game and we're in the second half of a doubleheader. I mean, wow.
Well, we expect so much from these 2 offenses. They are so good. The question marks, we knew at the start of the series, whose pitching would be able to hold up.
And we knew it'd be about offense. I mean, it's been about the breaking of some defense too. The balls are going to be put in play. This is not going to be a high strikeout night from either side.
Backdoor there from Walters.
I think the thing that surprises me the most are the defensive errors. Both of these defenses are very good. They're very schooled, but they've also had some hot shots hit at them. They've been put in motion.
Pressure is a funny thing, Smitty.
Yep.
You can play all the defense you want. Tell me the stats you've been doing all season long. You get 10,000 fans of Toby Keith and whoever else yelling at you, and you react a little differently.
Yeah. Self down the line, and that's a fair ball and right. She'll be held to a long single. Good hustle out there by Gibson to get to it quickly. And a leadoff base runner for the Sooners. Our If Necessary game will come your way tomorrow at 7 Eastern on ESPN. For more information on the Women's College World Series, go to NCAA.com, the official online home for all 90 NCAA championships. Sooners have been close all year long in a lot of the major sports. College football playoff, men's basketball Final Four. They won national championships in men's and women's gymnastics. Trying to get another one here tonight. But as we've come accustomed to with the Auburn Tigers. This is a gritty bunch. This is a confident team. As the OUAD Joe Castiglione looks on. Knew the Tigers weren't going to stay quiet for too long.
Tell that's a nervous look. Welcome to championship softball. It's never 7-0 for long.
Wodak singled and scored in the second. It was the second hit of the World Series for Leah. Once it fouled, first and third were heard charging there. Another capacity crowd, standing room only here at Hall of Fame Stadium. This is the 12th year of the championship series. Carosone, one down. On 4 occasions we have played a game 3, including the very first one, Sam Finley's late game heroics for Michigan. And then last year, the Wolverines lost to the Florida Gators in a game 3. Oklahoma was involved in that epic 3-game series, the loss to Alabama in 2012. Arnold, who her teammates point to as one of the rocks of this team. One of those quiet leaders. Terrific with the glove. Her hitting is good this year. She'll drop one down. Move the runner over with 2 outs. She'll pass the bat to the senior, Erin Miller, who has reached twice. A pair of errors on the shortstop, Whitney Jordan, and she has scored both times. She remembers that 2013 championship team said, we peaked at the right time. We rose throughout the season, and when we got to the World Series, everything was clicking. Widely considered to be one of, if not the greatest team of all time. She said this year, it was a similar feeling. We were playing our best ball at the end of the year. Wallace may have gotten clipped with that.
Spoke with Erin Miller yesterday. She talked about not being very happy with her at-bats. See the foul tip. Gets Wallace right in the rib cage, the left side where the padding isn't. Erin Miller had said that she really hasn't been happy because she feels like she's been swinging for the fences too much. She gets that adrenaline. She feels that emotion. So her goal has been to simplify. Just try to put the ball in play, especially here at the World Series.
Wallace will stay in there behind the plate. Called strike 3. Walters got her with the curveball. Side retired, 7-5 Oklahoma. And for the Auburn Tigers, their home run hitter, Whitney Jordan, is coming around again. How about that second inning for you? 6 runs for Oklahoma, countered by 5 from Auburn, and it's a 2-run Sooner lead as we head to the bottom of the 3rd inning. Auburn has to win to stay alive and force game 3 tomorrow. Jaden Chestnut, the freshman, still in the circle here. For Oklahoma, it's 6, 7, and 8 coming up in the order. Haley Fagan to lead things off. She struck out in her first at-bat. Let's revisit that second inning. It was a long one. 20 batters came to the plate. There were 8 hits, 11 runs scored, 2 squeeze bunts, 2 home runs, 2 unearned runs for each side.
Everything but a triple play.
That's crazy. The scorecard is a mess. Can't tell who did what.
And for Auburn, they had, what, 11 batters?
You guys act as if your scorecards are never a mess, which is not the case, America. Here's the 1-2 pitch to Fagan. Haley fouls one off. This is one of those that you gotta love as a hitter to step in and, hey,
this is my game.
See what happens.
Get to face a number 3 pitcher for Oklahoma, number probably 4 pitcher for Auburn.
Fagan, grounder gets through the left side. Leadoff is on for Auburn, and the tying run will come to the plate. Fourth hit of the night for the Tigers. If you're wondering about the largest deficit ever come, that was Baylor a couple of years ago, rallied to beat Kentucky. They were down 7 and won it 8-7. Auburn down 7-0 tonight. They're practically all the way back. Gibson walked and scored in the second. That is Brittany Finney out there now, getting loose for the Sooners. .61 miles an hour. The drop just misses, 1-2. Paige Parker. Popped up in foul territory, and that one will find the turf.
I think there's a good chance if we see Paige at all today, it'll, if at all, it would be maybe 5, 6, 7, a case where they're ahead, maybe one time through the lineup. I mean, if they didn't put her up with a 7-run lead, there's a good chance we won't see her till very late.
And they'd still have to have the lead, right? Otherwise, you save her for game 3.
Absolutely.
Makes the play, steps on second, fires to first for 2. And that's what the Sooners love about their shortstop, making plays like this all year long.
Well, the #1 defense in the country. Look at her go down, focuses on the ball first. She does not worry about flipping it over to Clifton. She knows she's close enough to get to the bag. Good throw on line to first to Shane Knighton, and getting a lot of love from her teammates, picking up the double play.
That is the 5th DP of the World Series for this Oklahoma defense. The 3-run home run in the second inning was the spark for Auburn to get them back in it. Just her second hit of the World Series. That was off of Kelsey Stephens, the starter. Got another extra base hit. Sliding in safely at second.
How big was that double play? Now that you see the hit from Jordan, who, by the way, has redeemed herself in a big way with a 3-run shot, now a double. But Kelsey Arnold getting out that lead runner, saved them a run so far.
Yeah, she had 2 errors earlier in the ball game. The Sooners scored on both of them. And so now again, the tying run will come to the plate. Victoria Draper reached on an error and scored in the second. And Clip Myers may make a change right here. He's going to go with a pinch hitter. Courtney Shea hit a wicked hot shot right down to the first baseline in the 7th inning last night. And Shea Knighton made the defensive play of the tournament on it. Knocked it down, scooped it up through to the plate, where they nailed the game-tying run trying to come home. So Shea for Draper. Victoria can re-enter. And the Tigers are hoping for a similar hot shot that would get through this time.
Shea with that wide open stance, something incredibly unusual. You'll see an open stance, but she does it where her body is squared and watch both eyes on the pitcher.
And
misses that one away.
Yeah, and I think that's the corner, Beth and Jess, that you have to stay on. Try and work her away with a screwball, change speeds. She crushed that pitch on the inside corner yesterday.
Oh-2 pitch from Chestnut, got her. Jordan stranded at second, the big strikeout for Chestnut. The sophomore from Athens, Georgia, who started out as the third stringer. Knee injuries to Haley Fagan and Kelsey Bogards thrust her into the starting lineup. She is one of 3, actually 4 former walk-ons that are now in the starting lineup for a team playing for the national championship. There's Kelsey Bogards, known as Turtle. That's why they're all wearing the green headbands. And Haley Fagan has returned to the lineup as the DP. She's back in the lineup here in the postseason. Kaylee Clifton, it's 2, 3, and 4 in the lineup, so you've got Knighton and Romero right behind. Clifton popped up in the first and drove in a run with a squeeze bunt in that big second inning. The Riverboat Gambler, Patty Gasso, calling for back-to-back squeeze plays with Clifton and Knighton. The moxie of the KG veteran.
She knew she was going to need some big crooked numbers up on the board, and she got them. Deciding to rest Paige Parker. I think she was probably like, all right, I need a 7-run lead, no, 8-run lead.
Grounded to Jordan. 1 down. Shea Knighton a walk. And she too drove in a run with a squeeze, hitting over 500 in this World Series. They only had 26 sacrifices all season. They've got 4 of them tonight. I doubt Knighton will be thinking bunt right here with nobody on base. One of the most potent hitters on the field tonight.
Rachel Walters has got to be really careful. These are the 2 best hitters, no doubt, Knighton and Romero. Not a bad idea to kind of pitch around, still trying to get Knighton to chase. You obviously don't want to walk Knighton because she's protected by Romero, but after that, it definitely falls off a bit.
These freshmen in the NCAA tournament, 6 home runs, 28 runs batted in coming into the game tonight. in this NCAA tournament, facing Rachel Walters. It's a 3-1 count to Knighton.
Backdoor curveball off the plate. Like to see Walters, the lefty, come in under the hands. Maybe a little more in than that.
Knighton had the walk-off 3-run home run on Friday night to beat Bama, a 2-run single in their Michigan win, a solo home run in the semis to beat LSU, and then the big defensive play to save game 1. If you're looking for somebody on the most outstanding player short list, she'd be on it.
She told us how she likes to split the plate in half, pick a side. Right now, 2 strikes, it kind of opens up to both sides, but she's been looking in early in this at bat.
Right back up the middle, out of the reach of Carosone. On base for the 3rd time in the first 4 innings. Seen their confidence soar with big wings down the stretch for Auburn. Got the Rambam sign out for Sidney. Got under that. 2 down.
That's a win for Walters, knowing that she's not a strikeout pitcher. She does pitch to contact. And if you're giving up just the soft single to Knighton and a fly ball to Romero, now 2 outs going up to Folly of You. It's definitely a win for her.
RBI single in the first, hit into a double play in the second.
And part of the key for Walters is the fact that she has been working from ahead, very good setup pitches before the out pitch.
You chops it foul. Gorgeous night here in Oklahoma City. This 35th Women's College World Series. Oklahoma trying for a 3rd national championship. Fly ball. Howard's got it. A single for Knighton. She's stranded. We'll hear from Patty Gasso joining Holly Rowe when we come back.
5 lead over Auburn. Here with the Sooners head coach, Patty Gasso. And coach, there were some crazy calls in this game. Tell me about the factors you considered when throwing down back-to-back squeeze bunts.
I think just looking at their defensive alignment and the element of surprise and not expecting our big hitters to do things like that. So, I mean, that's how you have to go about it with these guys.
Still a 2-run lead. What temptation do you have to get Paige Parker back in there at this point?
We're going to just keep hanging on. This team is really fighting. You see Kelsey Arnold making a great play. Our defense is trying to make good plays, but we also flubbed a few. So we just got to tighten things up a little bit.
I know you wanted to say something special to your mom.
I do. Mom, happy birthday. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Holly. Well, Paige Parker didn't warm up pregame. She hasn't been out in the bullpen at all. And as we get set for the top of the order coming up here for Auburn after the pitch, Smitty, I'd love to hear how quickly she would be able to make herself available. She looks pretty comfortable at this point sitting in that dugout, perhaps waiting for a game 3 if they get there.
Yeah, I think the big thing right now is that they're relying on their freshman pitcher to go as far as they can. If they have a lead late in the game, the key though is her warm-up. As you mentioned, she's going to need to be able to get ready very quickly, reduce the number of pitches in the pen so she's ready to go. But I think if Oklahoma has a lead in the 6th or the 7th, you got to put her in.
Yeah.
because right now, the team that bats last probably has the advantage to win the game.
A crazy 11-run second inning for the two teams. Their leadoff batters have done a nice job setting the table. Howard tripled and scored in the second. With Casey Cooper and Emily Carosone coming up, this is the part of the lineup that has been doing the damage for Auburn throughout this NCAA tournament and World Series. Got some good help tonight from the bottom with Whitney Jordan's 3-run home run. Regardless of who wins this title, we are assured the last 5 championships will be either an SEC school or Oklahoma. Howard. Safe at first. Looked like Romero had to hesitate just a moment with Chestnut trying to get out of her way, and Howard safe at first. And now Cooper, again the tying run coming to the plate. RBI single for her in the second inning. Last 4 champs, Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, and Florida. Oklahoma trying to pick up their 3rd, which would mean only UCLA and Arizona have more national championships than the Sooners. Auburn trying to get their 1st. The batting average, the home runs, the runs batted in, all the best in school history, and she is just a junior.
That's a great call. Off-speed pitch. 2-0 count. You could just tell that Cooper was getting ready to be locked and loaded.
Three and 1.
And this is what you can't do to Auburn, is pitch from behind.
Full count.
That's where Cooper likes it. And she had a home run earlier in this tournament on that same pitch, just missing that 3-1 pitch. That's exactly where she was looking.
The ball's fouled straight back. As a pitcher, that is a big explanation point. Do not throw it there again.
Cooper gets into one. Deep and gone. And Auburn has tied it up.
Cooper worked this count. They like to start away. They came back with the rise ball. Cooper with a great eye on an off-speed pitch. Nothing she wanted away. She just missed this one, and then they come back low in the zone. Chestnut took a little bit more off of it. It was supposed to leak away. It doesn't. And Cooper, second home run of the World Series, and it's a big one.
Her 21st of the season, and it is even at 7. After OU went up 7-0. Auburn has now tied the biggest comeback in World Series history, and we are even in the bottom of the 4th. Nobody out.
this is a freshman learning experience for Jaden Chestnut. And anytime you miss, you always want your pitches to miss out of the zone. That was an off-speed curveball, as you mentioned. She took a little bit off of it, but being the righty, trying to bend it back into the zone, you can't miss coming through the zone. You've got to start pitches at the zone and let them ride away.
The Auburn bats held in check by Paige Parker in game 1. Carosone made the comment that expecting to see Parker again tonight, that was just a warm-up. We're confident, we're ready to go. Well, they didn't see Parker tonight, but the bats have still come alive. Carosone out to center, and that one will drop in front of Penley. 3 hits in a row to start the 4th. Four hits for Auburn off of Parker in game 1. They've doubled that already. 8 hits through the first 4 innings tonight. Now for Oklahoma, with Wallace and Rhodes and Fagan still coming up. Let's check in with Holly.
Well, last season, the Auburn Tigers got to the semifinals of the Women's College World Series and lost. They had to go home early, so their mantra all season long for the last year has been 3 more days. They wanted to just get to the championship series and play for 3 more days in Oklahoma City. They've had t-shirts with that. They've flashed the 3 sign when people get on base. They believed in it, but if they would lose this game tonight, it would only be 2 more days. So will they really believe and pull it out for a 3rd day here in Oklahoma City?
They're banking on that if necessary game to decide the championship tomorrow night. Still got work to do.
Well, I loved how confident they were last night in the presser. Even after they lost, they said, you know what? We were in this exact situation against Arizona in Super Regionals. We dropped game 1. We came back and won the series. We're used to this.
Coming up and into Wallace now with the go-ahead run on base. Hit by a pitch in the 2nd, walked in the 3rd. Excuse me, hit by a pitch in the 2nd and walked in the 2nd. Oklahoma has not trailed in the last 45 innings. You got to go back to game 1 of their Super Regional. They have enjoyed playing from ahead. You see a look of concern in some of those faces out there in the outfield, Miller and Penley. Coming in at Wallace, the base runner. Carosone thought for a second about going to 3rd. It's a wild pitch. She'll stay at 2nd.
Well, to me right now, Oklahoma does seem a little checked out. That's a live ball, and it looked like the defense was not really paying attention. That you're right, Carosone could have continued on to 3rd base.
Self makes the catch out in the left. 1 down. In steps Jade Rhodes, a couple of strikeouts today. She'll put that cross down in the dirt before she steps into the batter's box. And a good foul. Terrific story came out about Jade and all that she's been through. Lost a little brother when he was younger. She thinks about him every time she steps into the batter's box. Nosey's with her here this week. Grounded to short. Arnold will go to get Carosone at third. Auburn fans are up in arms. They thought Carosone slid under the tag. Heads up, though, by Arnold to go for the lead base runner.
Kelsey Arnold, you can see the way she tosses that over, and it's just too high. The slap tag comes in. She does just get her, but that is a close play. That throw needs to be lower so that tag is applied at the foot as the slide comes in.
Haley Fagan will strike out in the second, singled in the third.
That part of Auburn's game is to be aggressive and force throws and things, but you got to know your defense too. Kelsey Arnold has been nails. I mean, she has been that defender. If you're going to pick anyone on this field who's not going to make a mistake, it's going to be her. And to run on that, take yourself out of scoring position is a huge risk, especially with a tight game for Auburn.
Absolutely, Justin. I think the other thing is reading the ball. If it looks like it's going to be a tough play and there's spin in English on it, but that was kind of a high hopper that it was easy. It was coming right up into her wheelhouse to be able to make the throw. So it's all those little things in the moment that you read and you determine, do you stay or do you go?
The 1-2 to Fagan. Had to hit and run on.
I'm hoping it was a straight steal. 2 strikes. That's a big move too. Rhodes, not the fastest runner.
Two and 2. Much to the chagrin of the Sooner faithful. Rhodes will take off again, and she's thrown out at second. So hard to run on Leah Wodak, and that's why. But for the Auburn Tigers, Casey Cooper deep into the Oklahoma City night. We are even at 7 apiece.
She did a straight steal.
Two runs for Auburn in the fourth. They have pulled even at 7 apiece and have come all the way back from a 7-run deficit. Bruce and Gus wired for sound.
Got it! Bang, bang, save! Yeah! Get out, go! Get out there! Hey man, get it up in the air. The wind is blowing out.
They're having fun.
Yeah. A run in the first for Oklahoma, 6 in the top of the second. They led 7-0. Auburn responded with a 5-run bottom of the second inning. And then the Cooper 2-run shot in the bottom of the fourth. 7-7 here in Game 2 of the Champ Series. The Tigers have to win it to force Game 3 tomorrow. If the Sooners can bounce back and take this tonight, they are national champs for the 3rd time. 7, 8, and 9 coming up. Jordan stays down on it. And 11 base runners and 7 runs through the first 2 innings, but in the last 2 innings, just a couple of base runners have not been able to get anybody home.
Auburn, those 7 unanswered runs, and that's huge. It's how you respond, and that's what impressed me the most probably with Auburn was the fact that they scored 5 after that big Oklahoma 6, and right now OU, the momentum is clearly with Auburn because they have yet to score since the 6 in the second inning.
And you can see it in the dugouts because everything is completely shifted. Auburn is just lighter. Weight of the world has been taken off by tying it up, and look at Oklahoma. They have the weight of the world on them.
Self, Draper, a few steps back. She's got it, 2 down. Now the host country, France, will kick off Euro 2016 Friday, June 10th against Romania at 2:30 Eastern on ESPN, also on your ESPN app. Spain has won the last 2 Euros. They're back in the chase again. France amongst the favorites as well, the home side. We'll take you all the way up to the finals on July 10th. Leah Wodak. Rhodes unable to run that down. She's 1 for 2, singled and scored in that second inning.
How about the credit to Rachel Walters? I mean, since she's come in the 3rd inning, she's only given up the 2 hits, no runs. Quieted these Oklahoma bats. By the way, have been the best hitting team, average-wise, in the country.
And the significance of it, this is not a very lefty-heavy lineup for Oklahoma, so she's pitching against the majority of righties.
That last pitch has been the moneymaker, is the backdoor curve. She's utilized it very well to curve around the outside part of the plate to these righties.
Carly Wallace will trot out to chat with her. Let's check in with Holly.
I talked with Auburn pitching coach Corey Myers about his pitching plan tonight. He wants to try to stay with Walters as long as he can and save Michaela Martin, his other ace this season, to come in tomorrow night if they are able to force a game 3. But Walters has settled down nicely here. He said he won't pull her unless she gets in trouble.
The crafty lefty, they call her. She has a win against Georgia here at the World Series. Also threw some innings against Florida State. Another transfer on their pitching staff. Spent a couple of years at Radford before arriving on the Plains. A lot of people attracted to Auburn by what was going on with Clint Myers and his coaching staff. They have turned this thing around in a hurry. Not just this game, but the entire program over the last 3 years, and have risen to national prominence and a shot at a championship this year. Got it a second. Carosone's got it. 3 up and 3 down, all smiles right now for the Auburn Tigers. They are right back in business. And we welcome you back to the Championship Series, Game 2. Oklahoma and Auburn all tied at 7 apiece. Beth Mowens, along with Jessica Mendoza, Michelle Smith, our Hall of Fame Stadium reporter, Holly Rowe. Both these coaches, Clint Myers and Patty Gasso, love to talk about momentum, especially at this time of the year. And what a momentum shift from 7-0 Oklahoma to 7 apiece.
Auburn's response was big. I mean, for them to be able to come back in that 2nd inning, and you can feel the momentum and how it's shifted because of the energy. Oklahoma doesn't seem to have it, and it's all Auburn right now.
Yeah, and I think the big thing for Auburn is that they have a pitching staff that they're comfortable with. And for Oklahoma, they've relied so much on Paige Parker. They don't have their security blanket, I guess you could say, in the circle. And so they're getting hit, beat up a little bit. And it is like a boxing match. You got to be able to punch back when you get walloped in the face.
This is a young team with 7 underclassmen in the lineup. And now it is actually back to 8 with Chestnut in the circle. They have not trailed in 7 games. They are winners of their last 31 in a row. And look at the pitching in the postseason through the first 9 games, with Parker throwing every pitch, as opposed to tonight. The ERA has jumped to 8.75. You stay in the winner's bracket, you usually have a day off. You usually have Saturday off. But because we had rain on Thursday and Oklahoma's game got postponed, they have not had a day off. There has been no advantage to staying in the winner's bracket in terms of getting that rest. Parker was unable to go because of that to start. Holly?
Well, Paige Parker could be called on in late innings to come into this game if they needed to. She's been staying very engaged in the pitching plan, looking over the paperwork, checking the wristbands on every pitch. She's ready.
And every time we show her, she's still sitting in that seat. As you see that strike out the chestnut on the changeup. She has not moved from the bucket or chair, whatever she's sitting on. You can tell that obviously fatigue an issue. They do not want her on her feet.
4-0 in the World Series, 29 innings of work, 462 pitches. We've seen some aces here before, and when you stay in that winner's bracket, that rest day really helps a lot. You think of the Danielle Laurys and the Katie Burkhards of the world, more recently a Jackie Trena and a Dallas Escobedo. Of course, Taryn Mowat is the gold standard in that 2007 championship game. She threw over 1,000 pitches in 8 games in 7 days to guide Arizona to the championship.
Well, and part of the key of all of this is the fact that as a college pitcher, you play 3-game series. You never usually pitch 5 days in a row, and that's what she's been called up to do. So she's not conditioned for it. You know, and a lot of people wonder how you can even throw 3 days in a row, but more or less 5.
Gibson pops it up. It's got it at short, 2 down.
Well, and I think people assume, okay, Paige Parker starts this game. If she's at 40%, you know, what are you really getting from her compared to a rested Paige Parker tomorrow that's 80%? And yes, she could have been in the game in the circle. They would have most likely scored less runs, possibly, but 40% could have been even worse than what's already been scored tonight.
And no card to throw on the table tomorrow. Ace, in other words, no ace to throw. Did you get that?
Oh, okay. Nice little card reference. Nice.
Took me a minute.
Game 1 was under an hour. Only 52 batters came to the plate all night. We're at 52 already here in Game 2. And we are now just getting to the 6th inning. Both sides get a 3 up and 3 down. Top of the order coming up for OU.
The seniors, it's their last time ever playing on this field, and we want to give them everything we have.
It would mean a lot to me to give them a national championship.
These will be the last 3 games in my senior year. It's emotional, but I'm excited to finish it with this team.
I can only imagine looking into my fellow seniors' eyes and going, it was us. We did it. We're the last one standing.
Which side will be the last one standing? We are even at 7 apiece as we go to the 6th inning, Game 2, after the Sooners took Game 1 last night. A 3-2 win that wasn't decided until the 7th inning, when the Tigers had the tying run at third base. One time they were thrown out at home, and then a pop-up stranded the tying run. And there goes Paige Parker out to the bullpen. And I gotta believe, guys, Patty Gasso is banking on the top of her order right here to get them a lead in the 6th inning. And get Parker ready to throw possibly 1 or 2.
Come in that closer role, something that she's, I'm sure, not used to, but has been mentally preparing herself for at this game.
She does not have a save this year. Just 11 relief appearances this year for Parker.
And if they do use her, it would be interesting to see at what format. Will it be mid-inning? Will it be start of an inning? Because that makes a difference. If you're not used to coming in under a threat, it changes the complexion of the inning, how you approach it. As a pitcher, a lot of times pitchers are more comfortable coming in at the start of an inning. More like starting a game.
Parker is the winningest pitcher in the country. Has won in her last 27 appearances. But you really got to tip your hat to Lexi Davis last night and Rachel Walters this night for this Auburn pitching staff. Walters has done a nice job in relief here for the Tigers to keep this thing tied. 2-2 to Kelsey Arnold.
And both Davis and Walters, the experience, the upperclassmen, have been in this situation before.
Kelsey singled and scored in the second, dropped down a sacrifice in the third inning.
And Arnold mixing it up right now. Early on, she tried her soft slap. The last two, she went with more of a power slap, trying to actually get a gap because everyone's so pulled in on her. And then this last one right here, she kind of showed bunt, got back, and went back to her soft.
Fouls another one out of play.
This is just a veteran reading the defense each time, seeing where they're playing her. Walter's been all outside to her, except for one.
Sophomore out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. Has actually spent time as a right-handed hitter, not just a lefty slapper here at OU. Was switching for a while and then fully committed to this. Seeing a lot of pitches from Walters.
A lot of the same pitch. All but one have been the curveball away. 9 pitches, 8 in the same location. Who's going to win that curveball battle? Will Walters mix it up and try to come back in?
Biggest hole in that infield is up the middle. Right back to the pitcher, Walters. One down.
Walters goes right back in the 10th pitch of the at-bat. Look at all of the pitches in the same location away except for the one inside. Kelsey Arnold, look at where her foot is. Nice job by Walters.
We just heard from Aaron Miller coming back from break what it would look like to look into the eyes of her fellow seniors knowing they had won a championship. She's got an opportunity right here to start a 6th inning rally for OU. She has reached twice on errors and scored both times. Miller pops it up. Jordan. 2 down. Tonight after our game, don't miss Sports Center at night. It's live from LA with Stan and Neil. The guys will have updates for you from the whole day in sports. It's also streaming live on Watch ESPN and the ESPN app. We'll have some of our post-game coverage for you as well on Sports Center with Neil and Stan. Kaylee Clifton brought a run home on a squeeze bunt in the 2nd inning. Has also popped up and grounded out.
All right, Beth and Smitty. Patty, I think banked on this part of the lineup, getting some runs.
Running out of outs here.
Yeah. Paige Parker was warming up in the bullpen. Do they bring her out in a tie? Do they wait until the 7th?
You're going to face Howard Cooper Carosone coming up in the bottom half of this inning. Is it worthy of protecting a tie?
Yeah, you get number 9, Draper, if she gets on base. You got Howard Cooper, as you mentioned. It's and all of the speed of Draper.
Man, that's a tough decision.
Yep.
That's why Gasso gets paid the big bucks. Decisions like right now.
And just how much gas is in the tank.
And another consideration as a pitcher, if she has anything in the tank and is even capable, I would throw her, because sometimes the day off, the rest is good, but too much rest when you're makes you more sore. So even though this would be 6 in a row, it may not be a bad thing to throw her a little bit, not a lot. 2 innings.
And a base hit. Might be a moot point if the Sooners can get that go-ahead run around, because now they have Shea Knighton with a chance. Patty Gasso wants to talk. Looks like they're sending another pitcher out to the bullpen. Son's glove. Is Finney running an errand, or perhaps the glove is already out there, trying to figure out just how prepared Parker may be? Talking to Jessica Schultz, their All-American and National Championship catcher from that 2013 team.
Well, there's a lot of strategy going on right now. Talking to Parker, how is she feeling? She's gonna feel a lot different now that she's thrown a couple pitches than she did a minute ago sitting on that bucket.
One thing we do know from what we've seen from Paige Parker the last few weeks is that I think she's gonna want the ball if the opportunity is asked of her.
Patty describes her as a fierce competitor. Absolutely. If she's given the choice, I'm sure she will take the ball and do her best.
Knighton has reached in 8 of her last 9 plate appearances. Couple home runs, 8 RBIs in the Women's College World Series. To Knighton. Knighton gets into one. Is it deep enough? It is caught and brought back in by Tiffany Howard, as she robs the 2-run home run.
Tiffany Howard gets back, she gets up, she robs the home run to keep Auburn in this game as they head to the bottom of the 6th.
Tied at 7. And it's time for our Pick You Up moment, brought to you by Enterprise, as Tiffany Howard saves the day for Auburn. And it is Shea Knighton who thought this one was going out, and Tiffany Howard brings it back into the yard. It would have been a 2-run shot denied by the Auburn senior. And we stay even at 7 apiece to the bottom of the 6th. And back home in Auburn, they are enjoying perhaps the greatest catch in World Series history. The Pick You Up moment brought to you by Enterprise. And now Howard is in the on-deck circle here in the 6th behind Victoria Draper. The defensive play that won it in the 7th inning last night for Oklahoma, and now the spectacular catch by Howard, who had started out the at-bat back on the warning track.
Beth, that goes over. Parker is in this game, and I believe she closes it. That is a difference maker, and Auburn still has to score. But if they do and win this game, you circle that catch is the reason why they did.
Mom and Dad Draper now Looks like one of the Draper siblings has the face paint on as well. They are all in for their daughter. And a chance for the Tigers to push this to Game 3 tomorrow night. She had the diving catch in their semifinal win that helped them advance to the Champ Series. And now Howard has gone one better. Already tonight, they have tied the World Series record for erasing the biggest deficit. 7 runs if they can finish it up and win it. And you see Clint Myers telling Draper to settle down and relax.
Well, the way they celebrated when Howard came into the dugout, it was as if they won the game. So I can imagine where Clint's like, that's great, celebrate, but now calm down. He's doing it again for the third base box. Just kind of get the adrenaline back down, especially for a short gamer. Doesn't do you any good to go too fast.
Number 2, they had that wild back and forth game with UCLA last year at the World Series. They ended up winning it 11-10 in 10 innings. They have had some epic affairs in just their 2 trips to the series. Both these teams, by the way, do have an extra inning win already in the tournament. Backhanded by Romero at third. 1 down, and here comes Howard, and before we see her swing, let's watch her catch.
First of all, so many things in play. She knows where she's at on the fence. She jumps up, literally bringing this back into the stadium. She's up, she's over, she brings it back.
And I love the way her glove stays on, because you have seen times where an outfielder will go over and the ball will yank the glove with it over the fence. That was just awesome.
Tremendous reaction from her. Arnold not in time to get Howard at first. She has saved 2 runs tonight. Can she now get them the go-ahead? An infield hit.
There's nothing Kelsey Arnold can do with this. Howard uses the ground. You see how quickly Arnold gets rid of it, but with the speed, no chance.
And now it's Casey Cooper who hit a 2-run home run in her last at-bat. Off of Chestnut. Katie Self swinging at that first pitch. 2 down. This is Emily Carosone, the senior from Orlando. Second best home run hitter and run producer in school history behind Cooper. For those of you waiting for SportsCenter, it is actually currently airing on ESPN News. We will get you to them at the conclusion of this game. Off the glove of Chestnut, and diving in safe at first is Carosone. Another infield hit, and now the go-ahead run in scoring position for Carly Wallace.
Love the hustle. Carosone diving into first base, just trying to get there. Ball off of the glove. Not a whole lot that Clifton at second could do.
That's just about the effort. It doesn't get you there any faster, but it makes you feel really good. Do all you can to get the first.
Carly Wallace has been hit by a pitch, walked, and flew out to left. Aggressive swing again on the first offering, the off speed. Four for 9 tonight with 2 outs after they had struggled through their first 4 games here at the series. Parker has come back in from the bullpen. Wallace to Arnold, over to first in time. Auburn denied. We are going to the 7th all even. Will Parker be a factor? Let's take a look at the Capital One Cup standings update as teams compete for a combined $400,000 scholarship donation from Capital One. Stanford currently leads on the men's side at Southern Cal on the women's side. Updated standings can be found at CapitalOneCup.com. Good for the Pac-12. They're both on top there. We've got Auburn and Oklahoma knotted at 7 as we go to the top of the 7th. And a freshman is coming on, Michaela Martin, to pitch to Sidney Romero to start things off. Romero, Aviu, and Penley are due up. If Oklahoma wins tonight, they are national champs. If Auburn wins, we play again tomorrow night. The Sooners were up 7-0 in the 2nd inning, and Auburn has come all the way back to even things. Rachel Walters was terrific, retiring 14 of the 17 batters she faced on in relief. And a bit of a gamble here now for Clint Myers to switch things up in the 7th.
Absolutely. I think it's an interesting move in the sense that Walters on a roll, gotten through the lineups. Martin throws a drop ball on 2 different planes, and it's that lower one that she's really going to need to use. Keep at the knees against Oklahoma.
Romero off the glove of Cooper. And the Sooners have the go-ahead run on board.
Wow, has Romero been clutch? Just pounds this ball into the ground. Cooper does all she can to try to hop up and get it, but as soon as it gets past her, it's a hit.
Fale Polima Aviu, the freshman, stepping in, an RBI single in the 1st. Hit into a double play in the 2nd, flew out to left field in the 4th.
Auburn crashing the corners in. Last night we saw how keeping Jade Rhodes, the first baseman, back hurt them. These squares and both corners coming in hard.
To Simon coming on to make the catch is Draper, 1 down. Patty Gasso, amongst the many things she has done well recruiting, has found a particular affinity for talented younger sisters of superstar players. One of them is on first base, Sidney Romero, and here comes another one, Nicole Penley, whose older sister Shelby was on their national championship team a few years ago. Has an RBI single tonight. Winners of 31 games in a row. The Sooners haven't lost since April 2nd. They haven't even been behind in their last 6 games. Penley has 3 postseason home runs, a pair of them here at the World Series. It was a team really that many thought would be competing for the national championship last year with a senior-laden team. Expectations outside the program weren't really high once the season started. They show up here at the World Series with 7 underclassmen that have been carrying them throughout the year. And here they are again in a critical moment. The sophomore stays alive.
Keep working. Let's go,
One-two for Martin. Chase the rise ball. Cooper's only play is to first. They'll take the out there. 2 down.
Good job by Penley just to make something happen. A productive out. She moves her teammate Romero up to second base.
Katie Self. The solo home run to lead off that huge second inning. Let's take you back.
For the 7th spot in this order, just in the second inning, she's what really got the rally going. Up and in pitch, she takes it out. Katie Self, the captain, the senior, up in a very crucial top of the 7th, runner in scoring position at bat for her right now.
And I think there's a good chance they don't give her much to hit. Leah Wodak is right behind her. She's been lifted for a pinch runner, so they cannot pinch hit for her. Leah Wodak has the lowest batting average on the team at a .320 clip. That just shows how everyone in this lineup is just so strong.
Critical, though, as the starting catcher, that's probably not somebody you can play with in terms of burning them for the rest of the night.
No, she will not be lifted.
And she's been batting below 100 here at the World Series.
Go-ahead run at second base with 2 outs. Wallace. Romero will hold.
Great job by Wallace to grab this first. Look at the location of the ball. It's way out. It crosses her up. And then as it comes out, look at the way she's going to grab the ball and immediately sets her feet up to know that I might have to throw to third.
I think it was supposed to be a drop ball. A spin on it. Martin just held on to it long.
Self out in front. Wallace will rifle it down to first in time. Auburn has a chance to win it. Coming up in the bottom of the 7th, Jade Rhodes will lead things off. Last night, the home run ball. What can she come up with tonight as they continue to chase the championship? Celebrations for Auburn. They have erased a 7-run deficit. The Casey Cooper 2-run home run in the 4th inning tied it up. Donuts on the scoreboard for both sides since. And now Auburn can win it to force game 3. They beat Georgia on Saturday in their final at-bat. They walked off against Florida State on Sunday in the semis. They almost won it in their final at-bat in game 1. And Rhodes hit the 2-run home run in the 7th inning last night. Got out in front of that.
Just last night in the 7th inning, this 2-run shot brought it within 1 run. They ended up losing it. But Jade Rhodes, if you're going to put money on anybody, she's got 7 RBIs. And Auburn scored the winning run 8 times in the 7th inning or later.
And Oklahoma is sticking with the freshman Jaden Chestnut. Patty Gasso raves about her competitiveness. She's a former Oklahoma camper. Her dream was to play at Oklahoma. They will keep Paige Parker in the dugout. On the run is Self, and she's got it. 1 down. In the previous 11 years of the championship series, we have gone extra innings just 3 times, including Michigan's clinching winner against UCLA in 05. Arizona beat Tennessee in 2007, and that epic Oklahoma win over Tennessee in 2013. Arnold, 2 down. That 2013 game ended, as Sooner fans all well know, on a Lauren Chamberlain 12th inning walk-off homer.
The batting right fielder, number 4, Maddie Gibson.
Maddie Gibson. 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. Little knuckleball off the end of the bat. Clifton cleans it up. We are playing extra innings in Game 2 of the championship series. Oklahoma and Auburn with the top coming back up. Norton gets into one. Is it deep enough? It is caught and brought back in by Tiffany Howard as she rounds the 2-run home run. The play of the tournament, and one of the great catches of all time at the Women's College World Series, Tiffany Howard robbing Shay Knighton of a 2-run home run. And that is why we are headed to extra innings. Neither side could score in the 7th, even at 7, as we go extras after Auburn trailed in the 2nd inning 7-0 tonight. They score 7 unanswered to stay alive. Oklahoma, if they win this, they are the national champions. If Auburn wins, hopefully just as good stuff tomorrow in Game 3. For OU, it's Wodak, Arnold, and then Miller at the top of the order. Both Wodak and Arnold have base hits and have scored runs tonight. A strike from Michaela Martin, who came on in relief to throw the 7th inning. After that spectacular catch by Howard that ended the 6th. Carosone able to recover in time. 1 down.
I love the senior does not panic. The ball trickles away from her, but she picks it up, makes the play.
The batting shortstop, number 3, Kelsey Arnold.
All the base runners, all the runs in those first 2 innings. Just 5 on board in the last 5 1/3 for this Sooner attack. Coming in with the best batting average in the nation. Stymied by Rachel Walters, and now Martin, after giving up a single to Romero, the first batter she's faced, she has set down the next 4 in a row. pitch to Kelsey, to short. Jordan is there. 2 down. Prior to last year, Auburn had no bling, no SEC championships. They had never been to the Women's College World Series. And now in the last 2 years, back-to-back SEC tournament titles, back-to-back trips to the World Series. And in a dogfight for that first national championship. If they hold here, due up in the bottom of the 8th would be 8-9-1. That would include the home run hitting Whitney Jordan. But first, the senior will have a crack at it. Miller, although she's 0 for 4, has reached and scored twice on a couple of errors by Jordan at short. For the Oklahoma box score, Miller the only one hitless thus far. Romero and Self with 2 apiece.
And if I'm Miller, I'm taking a big cut. 0 for 4. 2 outs.
Right back to Martin. 3 up and 3 down. She has retired 6 in a row, and once again, Auburn can try and win it. That was Pink's Just Like Fire, which can be heard in the Disney movie Alice Through the Looking Glass, currently in theaters. To the bottom of the 8th we go. Oklahoma and Auburn tied at 7. Auburn can win it here and force Game 3 tomorrow after the Sooners took Game 1 last night 3-2. On a Sidney Romero 3-run home run, they denied Auburn a chance to tie it in the 7th inning. And a spectacular defensive play by Shea Knighton. And one of the key moments for Auburn tonight to get back into this game after they trailed 7-0 was Whitney Jordan with a 3-run home run. And a night when the Sooners did not throw ace Paige Parker. They needed to get her some rest after she had thrown 5 days in a row. Good relief appearance for Jake Chestnut. Romero over to Knighton, 1 down.
Now that is their builder number 27, Victoria Draper.
Next up is Victoria Draper in the 9 spot, and then one of the other heroes for Auburn, Tiffany Howard, would be due up. Saved the day for Auburn, robbed a 2-run home run from Knighton back in the 6th inning. Short game, and the go-ahead, the winning run is now on base. Infield single for Draper. Mom, Dad, and brother, they want to wear that face paint again tomorrow night. And here comes Howard. 3 for 4, a couple of singles and a triple. She scored twice.
Having a night. Robbing a home run and left.
We'll be seeing that catch over and over for as long as they're playing the Women's College World Series.
It'll be just as exciting every time you see it. Incredible.
You talk about iconic moments in the history of this event. That will be one of them. These guys are probably more nervous right now than they are when they're on the sidelines with their teams. Always tougher from the fans' perspective. You got no control.
Great job by lead Wodak to try to pull that pitch back in for a freshman.
The move is soft. Does she have enough room? She does not. Boy, would the Sooners love a double play ball right here with Casey Cooper on deck. Two-two pitch. That's going to be trouble. Drops in on the outfield grass for a base hit. And that will push the winning run into scoring position for Cooper. Let's go back to Cooper in the fourth inning. A two-run shot that tied the game at 7. And now a swing can end it for the SEC Player of the Year. And the greatest hitter in Auburn history. Paige Parker will sit back down in the dugout as Patty Gasso goes out to the circle. So as of right now, it looks like they will stay with the freshman Chestnut, who gave up that home run ball to Cooper. A walk-off here would match the greatest comeback in World Series history, erasing a 7-run deficit. And it would be their third time in their last 5 games here that they have won a game in their final at-bat. You start talking about a team of destiny trying to win that first championship. Big swing here, a lucky bounce there, a two-run home run saving catch here. Scored the winning run 8 times in the 7th inning or later. We are later. And there is the winner at second base. Victoria Draper. Cooper with that high leg kick takes a look at ball 1.
She's already hit a rise ball out of the park this tournament. She hit an off-speed low in the zone out of the park. Very careful. I'll throw it 3 feet outside.
2-0.
The problem is with pitch around here, you have Emily Carosone coming up. The base is loaded. You're almost in a situation where you have to hope Cooper gets herself out. Jams herself up, pops herself up.
Ball was issued to Cooper. Make it 3-0.
3-0 with a 10-second violation from the pitcher. She took too long. And now comes back in with a strike. The 3-1 to Cooper. Ball 4. A lot of teams walk Casey Cooper. She had been batting 3rd, and recently Clint Myers made the switch to move her up to the number 2 spot because Emily Carosone relishes this kind of moment to pick up her teammate and deliver the big blow herself. The bases are loaded for Auburn. They only need 1 to win it. sets up the winner-take-all Game 3 tomorrow night. She said yesterday, Game 1 was just a warm-up. Game 2 was spectacular.
Carosone known for taking the first pitch. She's got a smile on her face because she sat away. First pitch, knocks it out. The first grand slam of the season for her. Doesn't get any bigger than this one.
Auburn scores 11 unanswered runs off of Oklahoma after they put a 7 spot up early in the game.
Patty Gasso took a chance. She rested Paige Parker. She'll have Parker tomorrow. But does Auburn have all the momentum right now? They certainly think they do. 11-7 with the walk-off Carosone grand slam. They're celebrating on the Plains tonight as they have equaled the largest comeback in World Series history. Let's go down to the field now at Holly Rowe.
Well, Emily Carosone, you just said to me it's about time. What was different about your approach at the plate today with that last grand slam?
That last one, bases were loaded. I thought right before I got in the batter box, hit it hard. If it's hard, it's going to be a line drive, and Victoria Draper's the fastest one, and she's going to score. That's all I was thinking, was hit it hard.
When you guys went down 7-0 early in this ball game, how in the world did you keep the mental capacity to fight back?
I remember just smiling. I mean, at that point, it was about pride, and I don't think Oklahoma knew that we had it in us to score that many runs on them again, because a normal team wouldn't be able to come back like that, and we stuck together. I mean, that was Auburn. We stuck together and finished it together.
You said last night in the press conference that last night against Paige Parker was just a warm-up, that you guys had gotten on time with her. So if Paige Parker's throwing tomorrow, what are you going to expect in the box?
I mean, I don't expect to see anybody else but her. So we saw her once, we saw her 7 innings, and we're ready for her.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, the Capital One player of the game, Emily Carosone, the walk-off grand slam. It is the 3rd time in their 5 games here at the World Series that they win on their final at-bat.
Love you, Grammy.
And we will play Game 3 tomorrow night. Malzahn and Pearl, hugs all around for the Tigers. And Jay Jacobs, the athletic director, down there as well. Oklahoma wins Game 1, a thriller in the 7th inning, and Auburn wins Game 2 in extras, with Carosone crushing one to get us to Game 3. Coming up next, Sports Center, and then we'll see you back here tomorrow night at 7 Eastern on ESPN.